Nobody held a stick over your head or a 2x4 and said, you've got to be in this meeting tonight. You came by the freedom of your what? You bet your life you can leave that way too. As long as I live, that's where it stands. Man has freedom of will to make up his own mind. You don't mind control. If there's been any mind control, it's on the government side and on the religious side that I do not represent tonight. I did it one time because I was born and raised in a denominational setup which was geared to take its church magazine and tell the people exactly what they wanted them to hear, never the all truth of the situation. Understand? We have a elected senator again to the United States Senate from one of the great states of our union who represents himself as being a Christian. And I understand that he accumulated on gifts and spent $6.5 million to get elected to the Senate of the United States a few weeks ago. Many of you will know his name, and especially if you're from North Carolina, you will. They call him a conservative, biblical Christian man. $6.5 million he spent to be elected as a senator of the United States. And do you know what that Senate seat pays, sir? $57,500. Now that's not a bad amount of money for senators who half the time are not there anyways. $57,500 a year is his salary. I assume that could be about as much as most of you are making in this auditorium tonight. He is a senator of the United States. He is not my senator. He is the senator for the state that elected him. But he got his money not only from the state, but from people all over the United States. $6.5 million. Now, I'm an awful poor businessman, and I know you fellas are too. You spend $6.5 million on a job that only pays $57,000. You got to be stupid. You got to be stupid, people. Unless that there's something down underneath, someplace, somehow or other, that's going to bring back $6.5 million. And sir, tonight, if you got $100,000, you can put it in CDs over here in this town and get 9% interest. He took $6.5 million for a job that pays $57,000. Gentlemen and ladies, you got to be stupid if you can't see what's going on. That's what we're standing for as Americans. Allowing it to go on. By the way, I understand he's a millionaire. But he didn't put his million in. He put the North Carolinian and the rest of the people's money in. $6.5 million. I'd like to ask you something, just plain common sense. That's all I ask you. Just think it through. You want to start farming. Let's say you're a young man, you're married, you want to farm. You know how you go about doing that? You go to the Secretary of Agriculture in Washington. Then you go to your agricultural department at the state level, and then down at the county level and the township level where you live, and say, I'd like to have some contributions from you so that I can buy the farm, the land, the buildings, and the equipment that I need to farm. Is that how you do it? Or maybe you go around the neighborhood and say, I am running for a farming job. I want to farm. I will need contributions from you so that I can farm. How would you like to open a grocery store in town? And you go to your government agency and they give you the names and the addresses and the telephone numbers of all the people in the area so you can call them up and ask them to contribute to your campaign to open a grocery store. Oh, they got all the names, address. I think it's the IRS has all those, don't they? They know your income, they know where you sleep, they know have your address, telephone number. Call them up and say, I want to open a grocery store in my community. Give me the names, address, telephone. Then I can send out information, publicity, so that I can get their cooperation so I can open a grocery store. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to open a grocery store, do you know where you're going to get the money? You're either going to get it because you earned it before, or your parents left it to you, or you're going to the bank and try to borrow it. And when you try to borrow it from them, you better have a lot more security than they're ever going to give you. How do you get a farm started? See? But somehow or other, if you want to get elected to the government, everybody helps to elect you. 6.5 million to get you your job. Real neat, isn't it? You talk about the psychological hoax, inducing people to have fear and everything else. It's tremendous time. Is it not true that when you make a report, income tax report, that you can give money to a candidate and take it off even on that report you make? I wonder why they make that deductible. Somehow or other, these are supposed to be men who work for us. We vote, we elect them, they're supposed to work for us. But how many of them are working for us, or are we working for them? We elect the very people that we're supposed to work for. Government agencies. They tell us what to do, and they're the very people we've elected. They're the very people we pay their salaries. Lordy Pete, if you're an employer in a small store, and the fellow doesn't carry out of his work, what do you do to him? Oh, God. You fire him. You discontinue his working for you because he's not doing his job, right? IRS, are your employees mine? But they don't work for us. We work all the time for them. People were being led like sheep to a slaughter. And only when the blood runs red may a few ever rise up and take a stand. The whole psychology behind the Guyana stuff and other things that are happening in our country is to make men afraid. People are more afraid of the banker and the government man than they have ever been of God Almighty. Somebody once says, well, he doesn't collect taxes every year. So I don't know. You see, the programming of the mind to build this kind of fear in people. They're afraid to stand, afraid to think, afraid to be honest. and never get around to telling the whole truth, only slanted.